host of the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill Hotline, where we welcome in the host of the Locked On Mavs podcast alongside his guy, Isaac Harris. You can find him on Twitter at Nick Van Exit. He is Nick Angstadt. Nick, what's going on?
Gentlemen, always good to be here.
Appreciate you hanging out with us as the Rashawn Holmesless Mavericks took on the Minnesota Timberwolves today.
He got in the second half.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did he?
No, Reggie, he's been workshopping that all day. He called me earlier today, and he tried that joke earlier. He tried it on an audience of one, and now he's trying it on the audience of the fans. So that's the second time he's done that one.
I honestly,
I wanted to see how it would work out for the larger audience. It made you laugh earlier, so I figured.
My bad.
Maybe.
My mind was that because we actually talked about it during the game, like during the first half, and my mind is, KD turned the game off at halftime because that would have been fair. Like, it really did seem like Jason Kidd, there you go. It really did seem like Jason Kidd split this up into the first half with guys that he figures prominently feature in the rotation, and in the second half with guys that are kind of outside that. Nick, did you view it that way?
Have you guys ever done a play or like a musical, like in school or anything?
Absolutely.
Yes.
This was a read-through. this was nobody's off book. This was everybody show up and you're kind of your character and we're going to try it out, see what happens and see what everything looks like a little bit. Just do a little blocking here and there. But this was a read-through, man. Like they went out there. We got to see what Lively looks like with Luka. That had some good results. We saw what Omax looks like, and he just looked a little rushed like a rookie should. And we just saw a little bit of it. I don't think we saw it enough. So all the overreaction takes, I'm loving them today.
All right, so the things that I feel like you can't overreact on was something that I actually texted KG about was standing next to Rudy Gobert. You saw just like the difference in mass when it came to Rudy Gobert and Dereck Lively, which honestly, Rudy Gobert is one of the bigger guys in the league when it comes to size, but some of that is just being a center in this league. I know they look tall and lanky, but like these dudes are pretty massive, and you see the difference between the rookies when it just comes to their size. Like how does that factor in your mind when it comes to the idea that they may play major minutes for this team?
Yeah, I took it another way. I don't think Lively looked that small next to Rudy Gobert. He's up to 240. He told us that on media day, and 240 is like the playing weight of Clint Capella and like Giannis and Jarrett Allen and like some of these guys that play center in the NBA that we all wanted on the Mavericks, right? So he's at that point right now physically. He's coming in. He's pretty NBA ready for a center, or at least what a rookie center is going to be. He's not he's not coming in Nick Claxton or what Chet is going to come in at or any of those guys. Like he's not that small. And did Gobert destroy them on the boards when Lively was in? No. And Gobert's not going to destroy you in the paint either when he was on the court, and Gobert's not going to destroy you in the paint ever. And the one block he got against Lively was a goaltend that they didn't call. So I think that he held up his own pretty well. I thought he was fine defensively. He's going to foul. It's just going to happen in a rookie season. And so for my expectations, I thought that Lively did pretty well.
All I heard was that Dereck Lively is Giannis. That's all I heard. That's that.
Okay, look,
the weight of Giannis.
Yeah.
All of us could be the weight of Giannis, right?
It's preseason, so I'll allow you to have your selective hearing.
Thank you.
But it was fun seeing. How fun did it look like Luka was having, particularly with Dereck Lively? Because I saw him on that one pick and roll, and you know what the one I'm talking about, where it seemed like he did the J.R. Smith, where he was like, I'm going to throw it very high and see if he can go get it. And Dereck Lively did.
His catch radius is so high. We were talking about it on Locked On Mavs today. Like, when's the last Maverick that had a catch radius like that? Like, Dwight is a good roller, but you got to put it in a certain spot because he's only so big with a so long wingspan. But like DeAndre Jordan, Brandon Wright, like you've got to go back to some guys that had like a catch radius like Dereck Lively has. But they had two plays, Luka and Dereck Lively, at the end of the second quarter where he had the one where Luka threw it up to him and he caught it. And then if you notice the very next play after this, it won't be on any highlights or anything, but Rudy Gobert, instead of like guarding Luka, stepping up to guard Luka, he backtracked to keep with Lively to stop the lob again, and Luka got a wide open layup. Like that chemistry with Luka and Lively, if they keep working on that and building on that, that's what's gonna, as the kids say, feed families.
The kids say that, huh? Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'm learning today. I am learning. We are talking to Nick Angstadt of Locked On Mavs right here on 105 through the Fan. And Nick, allow me to get negative.
He's been doing a lot of that tonight.
That's right. How concerned are you? Because I saw Luka wince
Oh boy, you took my question I had for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, dog, this is literally the first game that you are playing with the Mavs that, in this run of the season. Like, where does your mind go when you see him wince?
When I see him wince, I see a player that is dealing with some kind of injury that none of us can. I'm not going to sit here. We try not to armchair quarterback, right? Or armchair coach. I'm not going to try to armchair medical doctor. At this point, that is way far above me. That if the Mavericks have cleared him, don't you think the Mavericks would have held him back from not playing in this game if it was going to be detrimental? I don't know what's going on with his thigh. I've asked. We have a friend, Brian Suterer, that has an awesome YouTube channel that does a ton of stuff with sports injuries. He's a medical doctor. And I said, hey, what is up with this thigh thing? And he's like, it shouldn't be lingering like this. So it's got to be something different that we don't know. That play that you're talking about at the end of the second quarter, by the way, that's the only time we ever really saw him win in that game. I thought Gobert hit him in the nuts in that play, actually, if you go back and watch it. But I don't know. I mean, the Mavericks say he's cleared. Luka said he's got a couple more appointments that I think they'll figure it out. I do think that I am a little worried about it. So I don't think that it's ridiculous to worry about it or think about it, but it's something. I just don't think that it's going to be so detrimental to the Mavericks this year.
I guess my thought on it as I was watching the game and thinking, oh, this is going to be a thing all season. Now, obviously, as you mentioned, if he's good enough to be cleared to play, in a preseason game, obviously they feel good enough to allow him to be out there. But it does sound like and feel like something that will have to be watched and monitored all season. And honestly, it feels like, Nick, it won't get fully and completely healed until he actually sits his ass down somewhere and stops playing basketball, because we know how much basketball he played throughout the course of this summer for the Slovenian national team all the way up until preseason at this point.
I can say, yeah, man, Kevin, you're so right. That's what he needs to do. Just lift it, take some weight off of it and sit down and ice it. I don't know, man. It's just something that if the Mavericks say it's cleared and he can play, and it's just going to be either pain. They haven't even said pain management or anything. The only thing we've really heard from the team is Jason Kidd do his whole. Everybody's not 100% when they play. That's basically the only message we've gotten from the team at this point about that injury, which is not encouraging to me, but it's also not the end of the world with it. So, I mean, for now, he's playing. And, I mean, he scored 25 points in this game.
He did.
So
he did.
It seems like, even in the FIBA games, it seemed like the injury flared up when the team wasn't doing well, and though the team was doing well, he was riding high, and he was doing all right. So.
It was our first look at a guy in Grant Williams, among others, a team in the Mavericks, and unfortunately missed his first 14 three-pointers on the day against the Minnesota Timberwolves. What encouraging signs did you take, though, from Grant Williams' first outing as a Dallas Maverick?
Grant is getting wide-open shots like he's never gotten before. I mean, he's getting some wide-open threes. Luka and Kyrie are going to create those for him. I think Lively is probably going to create some of those with his roll gravity. Eventually, we're going to get to talk about that as a thing.
Roll gravity. You love to hear it.
We're gonna have roll gravity. We're gonna have shooting gravity. We're gonna have ball handling gravity. We're gonna have all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, Luka doesn't have his own gravity.
Good call. Mm-hmm.
With Grant, he's gonna get those wide open threes. Also, Grant had a couple of plays where he's guarding Cat that it just felt refreshing to have a guy to be able to be that big and strong that can take some of those bigger wings, the second center type players that the Mavericks are going to play, where they just struggled with some of those guys in the past. And I'm excited to see what Grant can do on this team, and then to see, again, all the missed threes you mentioned at the beginning. The Mavericks will make those eventually. Tim Hardaway didn't play in this game. Seth Curry didn't even take one. Grant Williams missed some that he normally makes, so it'll come together.
Now, of course, we talked a lot about the pairing of Luka Dončić with Dereck Lively. That's obviously going to be a main one because the pick and roll game with Luka Dončić is one of the central themes for this team. Were there any other, and obviously we can't take too much from entire lineups, 5-man lineups, but were there any other pairings, kind of the chemistries between a couple of players that kind of caught your eye in this game?
I liked what I saw from Hardy and from Josh Green as a second unit group. I think Josh Green will eventually start. I think maybe even by the beginning of the season or even next game, Josh Green could start on this team. But I like those two guys together coming off the bench. They push, they move, like them with Kyrie, the way that Kyrie wanted to push the pace last year when he came in, and they were like, all right, we have this one side of the team with Luka that runs super slow. We have this other side of the team with Kyrie that wants to run fast. I think Green and Hardy can be part of that group and can push the pace a little bit. And I like those two guys together, and I like what they brought. Hardy, I thought, had a really great game handling the ball. We were waiting all summer league for him to really stand out as a ball handler, a guy in a pick and roll, a guy that can make things happen with the ball in his hand. And he didn't really do that a ton. Even Jared Dudley called it a disappointment that summer league, and he was his coach. And so we saw it, though, in this game. I saw him hit a couple of shots, get some and ones, get to the free throw line, hit Dwight Powell on a lob, which is just not something we've seen from Jaden Hardy. So I love those two. I thought they did well together.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite plays of the game, seeing Jaden Hardy be able to work in the pick and roll with Dwight Powell and be able to hit them for that nice, finish at the rim. Before we get you out of here, there is one question that I want to ask you, because when you look at the rotations for this team and what they're going to look at for the second unit, and Tim Hardaway Jr., apparently a Sixth Man of the Year candidate, Jason Kidd, going into this upcoming year. Is there some redundancy there, though, with the likes of Jaden Hardy, Seth Curry, obviously with Tim Hardaway Jr.? Where does he fit here within this rotation, given some of the guys that they have coming in for that second unit?
Yeah, this is a question I've been asking on Locked On Mavs all summer. They have a big redundancy with those three guys. Tim Hardaway, Seth Curry, Jaden Hardy, all kind of do the same thing. I think that Curry and Hardy can handle the ball a little more than you want Tim Hardaway to do. I think Tim Hardaway can get hotter than those other two, so he can get some of the volume. Even like Seth Curry is the best three-point shooter on the team probably, but Tim can get so hot and get wide open threes that, he's going to take 7 or 8, where Curry's only going to take like 4 or 5 or something in a game where he's really hot. So this is something Kid's going to have to figure out. I don't know if you can play multiples of them together at any point. So that's something that trio I'm fascinated to see. Tim didn't think he was going to be on this team. I don't think a lot of the Mavericks thought he was going to be on this team. Jason Kidd, like you said that he might be Sixth Man of the Year. Didn't bother to tell Tim about that. So, and so Tim comes to media day and is like, I didn't know that I was Sixth Man until now. So I don't know what's going on with that whole relationship. Doesn't seem like they all are on the same page with that. So I can't imagine Tim falling out of the rotation, though. So I thought Hardy was going to be the one out of the rotation between those three, but the way Hardy played today, I mean, he may force his hand, and I think that's a great thing for the Mavericks.
All right, before I get you out of here, your hottest take from what happened today.
I'm going to borrow one of Isaac's takes from the show today.
Okay.
Nothing mattered, and I learned nothing.
Hot take.
That's hot. That's hot right there.
Isn't that what you do at the end of like a whole segment where you talk about this game and what we learned and everything, and just be like, I didn't learn nothing. I didn't learn nothing from this game, because it's all stuff we either kind of expected or didn't. So
it's the emotionally true aspect of all this about this, and that's one of the reasons why you're one of our favorite people to talk to about this stuff, Nick.
Oh, you guys, anytime.